Hello, beautiful souls, and thanks so much for tuning in again. My name is Luca, I am Astar, and welcome to 𝑓. So, today we're gonna be channeling messages from Lemuria. And the title of this reading is actually Memories from Lemuria. So, one part of it is I'm gonna be sharing my memories that I have from living in Lemurian times. But also I want to open the space to allow our Lemurian ancestors to come through to give us a message, or any message that is helping us to reconnect back to the energy of Lemuria. And actually the intention of this reading is to channel the codes that trigger the remembrances of Lemuria. But also for those of you who have not been on Earth in Lemurian time, it's also about, getting to know the history of humanity, getting to know the history of Earth, because Lemuria is one of the first civilizations of Earth, or it's actually the first, and that's the thing, it's kind of hard to put Lemuria in one box, because it's actually very vast, and it's not even just a place, it's not even just a continent. Like, there are many layers to it. Like, it is a realm primarily, but it is also, let's say, a chapter or a cycle that Earth has been going through. And basically in this reading we're going to be exploring the different facets and aspects of what Lemuria actually is, again with the intention to connect with that energy and to trigger the remembrance of Lemuria. So without further ado, let's get in. Oh, actually, and before getting in, I really wanted to say thank you for all the love, all the comments, for all your engagement, for all the likes. Like, I'm really, really, really grateful, and I really appreciate you, and I'm very grateful that I can be here delivering these beautiful messages to you. So thanks for being here. Sending much love. Alright, so pile number 1 is the Vision of Unity. This card has been coming up quite a lot in my readings. It's a beautiful energy. Pile number 2 is the Tree of Life. And last but not least, pile number 3 is the Cosmic Circles. So see which pile draws you in the most, if you feel drawn to more than one pile, or if you want to really find out more about Lemuria, then I'm inviting you to look at more piles or all of them, whatever feels most aligned with you in this moment. And as usual, you'll find the timestamps in the description box, and I'm going to be seeing you in your reading. Hello, beautiful soul. So this is your reading if you have chosen the Vision of Unity card. It says, focus on the light, right to see, releasing illusion and pineal activation. And straight away, as I'm looking at this card, I'm really being taken to the very, very, very beginning of Lemuria. And actually, when I say Lemuria, I feel it's even before than that, because this really takes me to the time where Earth was not yet solidified as a planet, because the story of Lemuria is actually a creation story. Like, it's not just the Earth's ancient past, like it's actually the actual story of creation, let's say. And there are remnants of this creation story in the religious text that we know of today. I'm making an example. The Garden Eden in the Bible is talking about Lemuria, but the way it is being described in the Bible is very different, or we don't want to take the things literally. But this can also apply to other stories where we're also talking about the dream time in the Aboriginal cultures, again the Garden Eden. Basically, we're talking about a time where the Earth was existing almost as an idea, or almost as a blueprint. because with the vision of unity, I'm really being taken to this blueprint here, this flower of life, this pattern, and then spirit coming through to almost birth this blueprint or this idea into creation through the energy of love. So the Earth experiment was obviously an idea from source. It was obviously divinely inspired. And the beings who were here on Earth to, let's say, seed this garden of Mother Gaia, to create the blueprint, to design the plants, to design the beings, to basically, set this, to take the idea and to set it in motion, or to materialize and crystallize this idea. These were many, many different star beings from many different places of the universe. But again, the idea comes from source. So the earth obviously has been created, human beings and the earth and everything on it comes from source. It's a divine, it was a wish from source to create this earth. But here I'm really being taken to these spirit beings which have been the gardeners of this planet. And again, these are spirit beings from all around the galaxy. And these actually are our star ancestors. And in the very early ages, like before this planet was even solidified, these beings have been planning how Earth is going to look like, how the beings are going to look like, what the whole blueprint, the whole DNA of what planet Earth is, has been designed by these spirit beings. And again, here we are talking about a higher dimension. So this is very much the planning stage, where in these higher dimensions, these star beings or these spirit beings, it doesn't matter how we want to look at them, we can look at them like angels, we can look at them like immaterial spirit beings, we can look at them like extraterrestrials, like it really doesn't matter. Like in higher dimensions, nothing really has form as such. Like yes, there is form, but it's not in a way like we understand it. Like when we have visions of spirit beings or star beings, then their appearance or the way they show up is only helping us tap into their energy. But again, in a higher dimension, they don't really have this form. They just appear as such, or they just, But the way this is coming through, the way this message is coming through, they're wanting to tell us, basically show us how Earth has been manifested. And again, these immaterial spirit beings or extraterrestrials or star beings or angels, doesn't matter how you want to look at them, they have been creating this blueprint in a higher dimension. And then it was slowly toned down. So it was almost this potential energy, this blueprint, this higher dimensional blueprint, which was then gradually being stepped down, or gradually, like the density was increased so that it could be solidified. But I say solidified lightly because at the very, very early ages, like the very beginning of Earth, Earth has been in a much lighter vibration. I'm being told fifth density, but fifth density is not the fifth dimension. So it's not 5D, but it feels even more than that. So it's almost, these architects, they are vibrating with the energies of the 7th and the 6th dimension. And then from that perspective, it's almost like toning it down to the 5D, where it's then becoming Earth as it has been in ancient times, like Earth with a much higher vibration. Like the beings in Lemuria at the very early ages, they were actually star beings from Arcturus, from Sirius, from Andromeda, Orion, like so many beings. They all came here to seed this garden of Mother Gaia. And they were actually, the gardeners. And they're also known as the watchers. Also, there is a reference again to the Bible, but again, there is so much this, I don't want to say distortion, but these texts, they are so ancient that they have been changed throughout the ages. And maybe it has been done intentionally, we don't know for sure. I personally believe yes. But it's not just that, it's also language came in, and different translations and interpretations. And at these times, all the beings were telepathic anyway. So at the very early ages, like these stories, they have been chanted, they have been telepathically communicated, they have been, there was this another way of communication. And the text that we have now, this is our way of understanding these ancient stories. But it is not the same thing, because if we would look at this story from this level of consciousness, from a 5D consciousness or even higher, then it would be completely different from looking at a text through a 3D understanding. So that's why all these ancient stories, we don't want to take things literally. So when we talk about the fallen angels, it is not that they have done bad things and that's why they have been casted out from heaven and they came to earth to, I don't know, like fallen angels and the Nephilims and the gardeners and the stories of these giants and the star travelers, we have to take it with a grain of salt, because it's not the way it is being described in these ancient stories. But how this is coming through, and how the Lemurian star ancestors, how our ancestors want us to understand this story, is that basically the idea came from source, and in a higher dimension these star beings have been creating the blueprint, and then it was gradually being stepped down so that it manifested into creation. And then as soon as it was manifested, these beings also toned down their frequency, also toned down their vibration, so they could be in the garden and almost inhabit this planet. But again, when we talk about the story of the Garden Eden, that's basically the moment the beings have been cast out of the garden is actually the moment when the earth went into 3D. Because before that happened, before the beings were cast out of the Garden Eden, Earth was existing in vibrations of 5D, and I feel even more. Usually we talk about 5D, but I feel it's even higher, it's even subtler. So this means that the beings, they didn't have a physical body. They could appear in form, and the beings could interact with each other, they could see each other, but they were not in a physical vessel like we have. And everything was more fluid. So the very early inhabitants of the earth, they were these spirit beings. And these spirit beings, again, they have been designing the flowers. They have been designing many animals, like all the animals, they're actually, spirits have been designing them. Some of them have been created by star beings. When we talk about, I don't know, for example, feline beings or different species, but there are also other things which have been created by nature, fairies and dwarfs and plants, for example, or certain flowers, or there are all these beings, all these invisible spirit beings that have been creating the DNA. They really have been weaving, they have been the gardeners, seeding this garden of Mother Gaia. And this is actually even before Lemuria, because most people think of Lemuria as being actually quite close to Atlantis or somehow connected to Atlantis. But again, Lemuria is such a vast range, it's such a vast span of time that we cannot say Lemuria is only this. But specifically here, I'm being taken at the very, very, very beginning of the earth, the moment it came from the higher dimensions into this third dimension, however we want to look at it. But the message coming through with this is that maybe some of you are familiar with the root races, the teachings of Madame Blavatsky, and they actually talk about a civilization that has existed even before Mu, even before Lemuria, which would be the first root race, or the first, this is actually Hyperborea or Hyperborea, I don't know how you pronounce it, but that's basically the time we're talking about. So even before the Lemuria we might know of, where people have been talking with dolphins, and that's maybe something for the other piles, but we will see what other messages there are. So again, we are at the very early, at the birthing of Mother Gaia, basically. So yes, let's see what else comes through. And yeah, I'm gonna be using predominantly the Lemurian Starchild Oracle, which is very suiting to today's reading, obviously. So let's see what we have. Yeah, depth of love, beautiful. I'm laying the cards first before I channel. Manifest, yes. Unlock your gifts, beautiful dolphin energy. Arcturians, oh yes, oh my goodness, I'm so grateful that this card came out. Now I know exactly the message. I had an idea already where this is going, but this is the ultimate confirmation. Wait, I'm gonna push this a little bit here so you can see. Alright. Indigo child, wow, beautiful, lovely energy. And essences and energies, okay. The message is very clear. So yeah, I'm again being taken to the energy of the architects. And there is actually a very significant contribution by the part from our star family has been the contribution of the Arcturus and Sirius matrix. So I'm really strongly being taken to Arcturians, to our Arcturian star family and our Sirian star family, because it almost feels like they have been the most involved when it comes to designing the human vessel. But at that time it was not yet physical, because the Arcturians, they have been involved in designing our blood, but they were also collaborating with the Sirians to weave our genetic code, to weave our genetic structure. And the Arcturians and the Sirians, they almost, they have been collaborating to weave this matrix. And if I say matrix, it's not the 3D matrix, but it's this matrix, like the blueprint of Mother Gaia. And that's why Lemurian energy very much resonates with Arcturus and Sirius. Because Sirius is also, obviously there are also different energies to Sirius, but Sirius, many people connect Sirius with the energy of water planets. And this is where the energy of the dolphins and the whales comes in. And the dolphins, which are here on Earth, they are actually also star seeds. Like dolphins, the DNA, the blueprint of cetaceans, I don't know, I'm probably pronouncing it completely wrong, or cetaceans, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's the family of dolphins, like dolphins and whales, they are cetaceans, I don't know, I think I speak too many languages to know it all perfectly. But please let me know in the comments how to pronounce it. But yeah, anyway, these beings, they're also star seeds, because they have descended from Sirius and from other star systems to also be these seeders of knowledge. They have been co-creating this matrix, this blueprint, and they have done it by coding the waters. So that's why with the depth of love, again, I'm being taken to this energy that comes from the stars and birthing this higher dimensional love into the waters of Mother Earth. And this is also where Sirian energy comes through, because yeah, again, this Sirian energy that is connected with water, this is very connected to Lemurian energy, because Lemurians, they are actually much more extraterrestrials than they are humans. They are much more spiritual than they are physical. And that's why this really takes us to a time where we cannot really speak of Earth as such, because it was so different in these times, that the message coming through is that Earth went through so many cycles. And let's say the physical Earth that we know of, it's 1.3 million 1.3 billion, or no, more, 3 point something. I'm not very good with details and numbers when it comes to these things, but the Earth is super old. And even before that, there have been cycles where the Earth was not even physical. There have been the Earth is super, super old, and the Earth has seen a lot, and our Lemurian ancestors are coming through to tell us that when we talk about star ancestors, it's not only connected to the stars, because there have been star beings on Earth in ancient times. And they're actually much more connected to the Earth than we might think, because some star beings actually consider Earth their home. And this applies to some Sirian beings. This also applies to Pleiadian beings, because in these cycles, maybe even before the Earth was physical, or maybe even before, when Earth existed in a higher dimensional vibration, there were all these star beings living on Earth, and that's also their home. And that's why right now there is so much help from our star ancestors and from our star beings to bring back Lemuria, bring back this ancient frequency. And they're reminding us that the Sirians and the Arcturians and all these star beings, they have been creating this matrix. They have been almost setting this Earth experiment into motion, and then they have been observing it manifest into creation. And then of course we went through cycles where some of the star families, they had to leave. Obviously the Earth changed in frequency, and it changed into 3D, and then before that Atlantis came in, and then obviously Earth has been going through many cycles of being awakened, or being connected with this source energy, but also cycles where there is a lot of separation or a lot of disharmony maybe. But all of this is part of this Earth experiment. But again, the initial intention was to see whether these blueprints from the higher dimensions, from our star families, would work in a more condensed scale here on Earth. And that's why at the beginning Earth was much more like an extraterrestrial planet, where with this depth of love card I'm really being taken to this ocean of love. I'm always being taken to the energy of liquid light, where again it's not even 5D, but it's even higher than that. And it has been created in that realm, but then again it has been toned down to see if these higher dimensional blueprints would also work on Earth, would also work in more limited ways. Because what the actual experiment was about was to see how we could manifest certain things. Because every being that acts as source creator, like every soul, every consciousness, every star being, every human being, every being that acts on behalf of source creator is a creator being. And it is our job to create. It is our job to manifest things into creation. Like we create this universe, obviously on behalf of source creator, because we are source. At our core, we are source creator, and that's why we are creating on behalf of source creator. And all these star beings, they're also working on behalf of source creator. And that's why we cannot really say that we as human beings have been created by the Arcturians and by the Sirians. Yes, they have been involved in our creation, but again the initial intention came from source. And that's why it's very important. There is a lot of stories about the Anunnaki, and actually Anunnaki refers to our star ancestors, because the word Anunnaki means those who descended from the sky, or those who came from the sky. Anu, that's sky. And there are a lot of stories which say that they have come to Earth to create us so that we could be a slave race and build temples for them, and I don't know. It's very absurd to me, like how do they even come up with this? But yes, the message coming through is that they have been involved, and they have been maybe even changing our genetic structure. They have been maybe there is some truth to it. Yes, they maybe have even changed our genetic structure so that we could exist in 3D, but they have not done it so that we could be their slaves, because we come from them, like they're basically us, and they only do these changes, or they only changed our genetic code so that Earth could have an experience of this next cycle. So these beings, these watchers, these Anunnaki, these Nephilim, or these star beings, or these ancestors, like they are agents of Source, and they're only acting in alignment with the divine plan, and they're not really evil, and they're not really, it's not good and evil, like they exist outside of what is good and evil. And obviously if we look at it again from our human perception, then we might think, oh, that's evil, or like they have changed our genetic code so that we cannot tap into these higher frequencies anymore, so we exist in 3D, and then we think that we are trapped, we think that we have been created by a slave race, and that is disempowering. But all these narratives, like every narratives that take our power away, is a distortion or is an illusion. Because what these distortions want to make us believe is that we don't have the power to create, that we don't have the power to be that creator being that we are. So it's really about reclaiming our creator being. And this actually is connected with understanding the true origin of the Earth. And that is also one of the reasons why the true history of Earth has been hidden for many centuries. Because if we would know the true history of the origin of Earth and humanity, we would know that we are creator beings, and we would know about our star ancestors. We would know that we are able to manifest anything into creation. We would know that opening our inner eye would be the common knowledge. And I'm somehow being distracted, so I really feel that there are forces that don't want me to get this message out, but I try to channel it anyway. There is something about, yes, right now we are stepping into this indigo child energy, where everything that has been hidden from us, or everything which tried to keep this truth away, is being dismantled, so that we are reconnecting with the truth of our origin, so that we are reconnecting with the truth of who we are. And there is a lot of forces trying to distort things or trying to push us away. Like this is fear, energies which thrive off fear. And the thing that these fear-based energies are most afraid of is us opening our inner eye, is us understanding that we are this creator being. And this is happening right now with all these indigo children, and all this, when I say indigo children, like everyone who has an open third eye, in my opinion, is an indigo child, because the vibration of an indigo child is seeing the truth for what it is, seeing behind the veil of deception and illusion. And the more we step into this energy collectively, the more our true origin story is being revealed to us. And this is ultimate empowerment. And again, that is one of the reasons why the true story has been hidden from us for so many centuries. But it's not hidden from us in a way like this force is trying to control us. Like, it has been hidden from us because this also is part of our becoming. This also is part of our mastery. So the message coming through is that everything happens out of love. Everything comes from love. And even these phases of darkness, or these phases of shadow forces trying to keep away the truth, or Anunnaki changing our genetic code so that we cannot tap into higher dimensional consciousness anymore, like all of this still comes from love, because it is rooted in love. The whole universe is rooted in love. And here it says pure love is the key. So the way we open up this key again, the way we understand our history again, the way we connect back with our star ancestors and with our truth, is true love. And pure love is the key again, very self-explanatory. And funnily enough, it comes through with this dolphin energy. And it's almost this invitation of reconnecting back to that ocean of love, and knowing that we are never really separated from that ocean of love. We're never really separated from the stars. We're never really separated from our star ancestors. Why is that? Because even by drinking water, we are still absorbing these codes that have been seeded by our star families and by the dolphins and by all these beings in Lemurian times. And this is the energy of essences and energies. Like, all this wisdom is stored in energy, which can come in the form of water, but also in subtle energy, which then takes us to the energy of the Akashic records. So all this wisdom and all this information is readily available for us. And all we need to do is open our inner eye and tap into this information. And again, here we have the confirmation. This is this blueprint. Like the blueprint, again, we have the flower of life again. This blueprint is stored in the waters. It is stored in the Akasha, in the ethers. And through the energy of the indigo child, we can tap into this energy because, yeah. But it also happens with an open heart, like open heart and open inner eye. And the indigo child is more so this openness to see a reality that is beyond the physical. And that's why our Lemurian ancestors are coming through to remind us of our essence, but also the essence of what it means to be a human being, the essence of what it means to be a creator being. And this was the first intention, like the main intention to start this experiment of Mother Earth, Mother Gaia, was to explore how to manifest things, how to be this creator being. But at the same time, after we have gone through this period of being more condensed, more limited in a frequency range, like in 3D, it's about reconnecting back to that initial intention. And now that we have learned all the wisdom through this phase of perceived separation from source, it's almost about the message coming through here is that now the actual plan starts to unfold. Like everything that happened before was kind of like a preparation, or like it was in Lemurian times quite pristine as it was, but it was much more ethereal. It was much more connected to other planets, like to star beings. Like it was the Earth, but it was more like an extraterrestrial colony, let's say, or like a colony from the higher dimensions. And then we went through Atlantis, then we went into 3D, we went into all this separation, and we went through also a lot of darkness. But now that we have integrated these lessons through this darkness, we reconnect back with this initial intention, where we open ourselves up to these essences and energies. We open ourselves up for this higher frequency again, for 5D and beyond. And now the experiment actually starts to unfold in the way it always was supposed to. Because again, the intention was to see whether we could be these creator beings with an open heart and an open inner eye, with our connection to source in 3D terms. And this is very much what's happening now. And in order for this to happen, obviously the vibration needs to rise again. But this time it rises. We will have integrated the lessons through this separation. And now we really can be these integrated beings. We really can be these beings that have both perspectives. Because in these times, the beings only had this higher dimensional perspective, only this cosmic perspective, only this, basically it's like a colony of star beings. And right now, humans are opening themselves up to this energy. And it's a completely new way of... Earth is entering a completely new karmic phase or a completely new chapter. And this again is part of these ups and downs. This is part of all these changes, and it is very beautiful. And no matter what is happening, even if it's darkness or even if it's super blissful, or doesn't matter, it all comes from love, and it is all rooted in love. And it's a very beautiful energy. Like, I didn't expect it to take this turn, but yeah, it's very much about expanding the understanding of who we are as beings on this planet, and that it is very, 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 very different from what we have learned in, let's say, mainstream school or like education or media or anything. And right now is the time to reconnect back to the truth of our origins, and that's why our Lemurian ancestors are coming through for us today. So this was your message for pile number 1. Again, if you feel called to watch the other piles, you can continue watching. If you feel this was your message for you today, then thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm also offering personal readings, so you can always reach out to me. You find all the information in the description box below. And again, thank you so much for all your love, all your comments, for liking and subscribing if you want to, obviously. And I hope to see you in the next reading. Thanks so much for watching. Hello, beautiful souls. So this is your reading if you have chosen pile number 2 with the Tree of Life card. This is a very beautiful energy, and I'm strongly being taken to the 3 realms of creation, but I'm actually being told to pull the cards first because, yeah, I feel there's a strong message coming through that has to do with Lemuria in connection with the 3 other realms. But yeah, we will see what this is about. So, I'm going to be using the Lemurian Starchild Oracle, which is very suited for today's reading. So, let's see, we have the last cloak. We have star connections. Beautiful. Star connection. Synchronicity. Okay. Peace beyond survival. Then we have healing. Oh, look at this. Beautiful. Centering the reading. Very nice. Sovereignty. Okay. Right to choose. Immunity to hooks. And last but not least, we have inner child attunement. Go within, listen, loving parenting. Alright, so we're channeling messages from Lemuria for the collective. And yeah, I'm really being taken to the Tree of Life, where there is something about remembering how to access the other realms of creation. Because in Lemurian times, the spirit beings or the beings that have been living on Earth, they were able to connect to the other realms of creation because there was this openness to the higher realms. And with the last cloak, this is actually the energy that there was no veil between the dimensions, because the last cloak talks about something being veiled or something being hidden. I'm always being taken to the invisibility cloak of Harry Potter. But it's almost like, yeah, in these times, the beings, they were able to communicate with the fairies and the dwarves. They were able to see them because, again, there was no invisibility cloak between the realms. And that's why, and that was actually very necessary, I'm being told, because if you come from pile number 1, these star beings or these early Lemurian beings that have been here on Earth, they were responsible for seeding this planet. They were responsible for designing the flowers, designing the animals, designing all these things. And in order for this to happen, like in order for this to be possible, the star beings, and when I say star beings, I'm talking about our star ancestors, the Lemurians, let's say the early Lemurians, they had to be able to communicate with fairies and dwarves because they needed to collaborate. because let's say the fairies and the dwarves, they have the perspective of the underworld. They have the perspective of the first dimension and the second dimension. This is very much primal energy. I'm also being taken to telluric forces, like the spirit forces that come from under the earth. But if I say under the earth, it's like from the other side of the veil. And that's why there is something about the veil was in place, but not as much as it is right now. Because obviously here on earth, the beings could not maybe tap into like the super highest dimensions, but they could tap into the first and the second dimension, where it's about this elemental energy, and they could tap into the fifth. Obviously it was the fifth on earth at that time, but the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, and also the eighth, I'm being told. And this is where they, it has something to do with birthing this planet into creation, because in order to do so, there needs to be the perspective of both the underworld but also of the higher realms, where the higher realms almost provide the blueprint or the DNA, the information, how beings are looking like almost the design part of it. And then the earth energies, like the first and the second dimension, but also the energies of the fairies and the dwarfs, the elementals and the nature spirits, they almost have been making sure that these blueprints would come to fruition, or like the forces that were needed in order for this DNA to unfold as a tree or to unfold as a flower. Like there needs to be a harmony between the two, otherwise it would not be possible for it to bloom or unfold. And that's why, yes, with the tree of life coming through, it's really talking about this time where beings had access to actually the entirety of the tree. And yes, very high dimensions, but it almost feels like it was not too everything above 8D was not too relevant in that time, because it was more so about seeing how these higher dimensional codes, this higher dimensional DNA and information would perform on Earth in a lower dimension. And that's why there is this big emphasis on collaboration with all the beings, collaboration with all these mythical creatures. And these are actually the times where all these stories come from. And at the very beginning, the beings were telepathic. So that's why all this information, it's actually stored in our DNA. All this information is also stored in the Akashic records. It's stored in the waters. And that's why then later on, when people started writing, when people started to have when a recorded history started, these people came up with unicorns and dragons and dwarfs and all these beings, because they remembered. It's part of our DNA, and that's why even right now people remember and people still connect with these energies. Obviously it's not as it used to be in ancient times, because in these times beings were face to face with these energies. But again, it's not face to face, but it's very different. It's super hard to talk about higher dimensional things, because we always have to talk about it through our human lens, through our human understanding. But it is not like that. It is more so this fluidity between the realms, and almost these beings then talking with beings like the star beings, the Lemurians, talking with both the star ancestors but also with these elemental beings. And I'm actually being told with healing here to clarify it with some tarot cards, which I'm going to do right now, because I feel there is a very important message about the healing coming through. Gentleness of love, realignment, asking for clarification on the healing card, messages from Lemuria. Okay. We have the Ace of Cups. Okay. We have the King of Coins. Oh, okay, now it's coming through. The Emperor. Okay. So basically, one of the intentions to also create this experiment of Earth the Earth experiment was also to heal stories from the stars, to heal stories from, I'm being taken to the Orion Wars, I'm also being taken to planets that have been destroyed. All these narratives, all these cosmic stories, cosmic history. It was almost the intention to bring all these different stories from all these star systems together in one place so that it could be healed and transformed and transmuted in one place all at once. And that's why we have such a big variety here on Earth. That's why at the times of seeding of Lemuria, there are all these star ancestors from all around the galaxy. It's not just Sirians, but there are Sirians, Arcturians, Pleiadians, Lyrans, Orion star beings, like so many stars that we don't even have names for, and all of these came together to seed all of their information, all of their blueprints all in one place, so that this could be transformed here as one species. But at the same time, still having this variety of different beings, different cultures, different animals, different plants. Like there is such a vastness and a lushness and an abundance. Like Earth is super abundant, and Earth is actually a genetic storehouse of information from all these star ancestors, from all these star beings, from other star systems. And one part of it is, yes, storing this information, storing these beings almost, these blueprints, but then also seeing it unfold all at once in one place. And this is something that the universe and source and all of our higher selves and all of our soul aspects wanted to see how this would turn out, how it would come to be, but also again healing these stories of other dimensions. And that's why we choose to incarnate here on Earth primarily for healing. This is not the only reason, because we're also here to enjoy ourselves, to be abundant, to be joyful, to be our fullest expression. But the reason why healing is coming through is we choose to experience this perceived separation from source. We choose to experience this very unique, Earth is a very unique place. We choose to have this unique experience in order to reconnect back to oneness, reconnect back with source. But when we do so, we will have gained the wisdom of what it means to be in separation, or what it means to be. It's an experiment, it's an adventure to be here, and we want to treat it as such. And yes, part of it is healing, but it's more so healing, not healing our human stuff, but actually healing the whole universe, healing the cosmos. And that's why Earth has been created in the first place. That's the reason why Earth has been created in the first place, because one part of it was seeing how it would unfold, but the next part of it was a school, basically. It's an educational ground for souls to learn, to master their creative abilities, to, yes, heal, but healing is learning. Healing is gaining wisdom, gaining power, but it's not about gaining power because the power has always been here, but it's gaining experience and having an experience that we would not have had if we would stay only in the higher dimensions, because it's a different perspective of how we look at source light, how we look at source energy. And in every dimension, source light is source light. The essence of it doesn't change. But the different realms and the different planets and the different star systems, they only provide a very unique perspective of source light. And this is very much what Earth is here. So it's basically for seeing that unique perspective, and through that perspective connecting back to oneness. Otherwise we would have only this perspective of how to connect with oneness, or this perspective, or this. It's actually about enriching the way how we approach source through many different perspectives. And yes, this is healing, but healing is not just healing from trauma, but it's having an experience. And that's very much where karma comes in, because karma is not what have we done in a past life to be punished so that now we need to heal from it. That's completely a distorted way of looking at it. Like healing, karma, this is actually almost this coding, this blueprint, this DNA, this vibratory pattern that has been encoded in our DNA. And this is energy that wants to be felt, seen, and experienced. But it's not because we have done anything wrong in a past lifetime. It's not because we're being punished. But it's because on a soul level, we have chosen to have this experience and to heal through it. But it's not healing because we are sick, or it's not healing because we have to release karma, but it's healing because we want to acquire that we want to see that very unique perspective of how to get back to source, how to reconnect with source, and finding that abundance, that source connection in physical terms. And I'm really being made to feel that this is the time of Lemuria, where beings have already been physical. So it's actually the time just before the Atlantean colony has been created. Because at this time, when we're talking about this, beings have already been physical. But there is something about control, or something about power, that has not yet been learned in these terms. Because one part of it is a higher dimensional planet in, let's say, 6D, 7D, or 8D, where life is as it is. Then the other thing is taking that energy and experiencing it in a lower dimension. But then, after we have experienced that, there is something coming up which we almost didn't expect, or we didn't see coming, because again, it's an experiment. We didn't know how it would unfold. And this is very much where this power dynamic comes in, just before the Atlantean times. So part of this experiment was also seeing how power is then being abused. Because yes, in ancient Lemurian times, beings were able to create magic. Like magic was common for everyone, like magic in the sense of telepathy, communicating with our star ancestors, manifesting things into creation, working with crystals, communicating with all these mythical creatures. But there is something about the way we use this power that was almost, I wouldn't say being abused, but it was starting to go towards selfishness, or towards ego, or towards not working for the highest good of all, but more working for the interest of the individual. And this is very much where this Atlantean energy comes through. And it was not like the intention to start Atlantis was obviously not to abuse power, but it's almost like the Lemurians knew that this next cycle was gonna start, because it was part of this divine plan to know that Earth would go through these shifts as well. And so that's why the Lemurian knew that it was time for a new civilization. It was time for Atlantis. It was time to birth this new civilization where people would experience this power, this star connection, these magical abilities, but this times in a physical vessel, in 3D terms. I say 3D because it was not 3D as it is right now, but it was slowly moving towards beings having a physical vessel. And this is very much where the I comes in, the ego. Before it was more this almost I wouldn't say animalistic consciousness, because it's still connected to the higher realms, but it's almost this hive mind, this tribal mind, where yes, we are separate beings, but we're not really separate, because everything is telepathic, everything is more fluid, but it has more and more, it has been moving towards this me and you, this ego consciousness basically. But again, in Atlantean times, we were moving towards this ego consciousness, but still having all these magical powers. And this is ultimately what led to the downfall of Atlantis. Because again, we have seen that this power has then been abused, and that people then started to play God, where they were using crystal technology to change the telluric forces of the earth. They have been trying to, like, experiments with genetic engineering, which were not really going well, and other things. Like, it was basically, people were abusing their power. And in order for the earth experiment to move forward as it was supposed to be, there needed to be this great reset, or this fall, or the fall of consciousness, or the great flood, where then many beings had to leave the earth plane, and it was almost this clearing out happening. But it was not star beings intentionally destroying the earth because they are more strong than us, or it's not. It's part of this earth experiment. It was part for, yes, we needed to see how this would unfold, but in order for the earth experiment to continue as it was supposed to be, there needed to be this great flood, almost, making things right again, or like balancing the energies again. But it was not happening to hurt us, or to wipe out humanity. Because if star beings wanted to wipe out humanity, it would already have happened. Like, they have the power to do so. But it's not in their interest to destroy the world. Even not at times of the Great Flood. It was not their interest to, wipe out humanity. But it was about the Earth experiment. And many of the souls who have been incarnated in Lemuria and in Atlantis, they're back here. So hello, if you're one of those. Nice to see you again. But it's not possible to wipe us out anyway. Like, now we're here again, so it's again knowing that, almost a little bit detaching ourselves from historical accounts and not taking things too literal, like not being angry at maybe the Anunnaki for changing our genetic structure, or angry at Zeus or Poseidon for creating human beings, or for directing a comet to the earth to destroy the humanity. No, it's about understanding that everything is following this divine plan, and that what is coming in now is sovereignty. What is coming in now is actually Lemuria being reborn in a way, because it is almost moving away from, like, a lot of things that are happening right now in the earth is actually some sort of a mirror of what has been happening in Atlantean times. Because the time of the Great Flood, that was exactly the half of the precession of the equinoxes. If you are familiar with the precession of the equinoxes, it's this cycle of 26,000 years. And this is the whole revolution of all the zodiac signs. Like, it has to do with the Earth's tilt, the axial shift, the axial wobble of the Earth. And it takes 26,000 years for the whole cycle to complete, basically. For the sun to travel throughout all the 12 signs of the zodiac. And the time of the Great Flood, or the time of the fall of Atlantis, was around 13,000 years ago, which is exactly the half of the cycle. It's exactly cutting through the whole clock, basically. And so that's why right now we are almost experiencing the mirror energy of what has been going on in ancient times. So in the time when Atlantis was falling down, it was actually the age of Leo, or it was starting to go into the age of Leo, but now it's the opposite of that. So the opposite sign of Leo is Aquarius. Now we are entering the age of Aquarius, and what has stopped in that time, what finished around that period, is almost being, we are restarting where we stopped in these times. And in this time, the consciousness was moving into darkness, because these 13,000 years, the last 13,000 years, have been darkness, have been perceived separation from source, a lot of wars, a lot of greed, a lot of empires abusing their power, a lot of poverty, a lot of scarcity, a lot of us not being connected to the energy of sovereignty. And now that the cycle is over, now that we have actually completed the whole cycle, because at Atlantean times it was the half of the cycle. It has started 13,000 years before Atlantis has been seeded, or 13,000 years before. then the fall of Atlantis came, and now we are at the end of the whole cycle. So right now we are starting not just a new age, and these ages, they last 2000 years each, or 2200, depends. It's not just that we are shifting into from one age to the next, from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, but we're actually completing the whole revolution of the whole 26,000 year cycle. And that's why it's a complete rebirth of what it means to be on this planet. Because again, this mirroring of what has been going on in ancient times is, yes, we are starting where we have left, and we have experienced the darkness, and now it's time to experience this energy, like this power, this connection with spirit, but with the integrated lessons from duality, with the integrated lessons of the dark ages, and reconnecting back with our sovereignty. So we are literally regaining our power, but this time around, the consciousness is in an upward moving spiral. It's an opening of consciousness. Whereas in this time, the power was here, but the consciousness was deteriorating. And that's why right now is the actual time that we all have been waiting for. Not just we as human beings, but actually also cosmically, like the actual intention of what the Earth experiment was experiencing this magical power, this magical sovereignty. Sovereignty means that we know that we are source, we know that we are creator beings, we know that we are sovereigns, we know that we are dragons, we know that we are magicians, we know that we are the whole tree of life. But again, we want to know that in a consciousness field that is moving towards love, instead of moving towards ego-based consciousness. And again, this is what has led to the downfall of Atlantis. But now, since we have been going through this cycle, now it's about having this exact power, but in a realm or in a cycle where there is an opening of consciousness. And that's why right now it's such a crucial time for humanity. And that's why right now there is so much healing taking place, and so much shedding of the old, and so much empowerment. Like very much everything that is going on right now has to do with empowerment. So in order for us to connect to our power, in order for us to transition from the state of being a sacrificial lamb to the state of being a lion, in order for us to change from a victimhood mindset to divine sovereignty, we first need to experience this empowerment. We first need to experience what it means that our power is being taken away from us. And that's why everything that's playing out in this human collective, like everything with the pandemic, where our freedom has been taken away from us, or where forces were trying to restrict our freedom, like all of this is only in place so that we can connect with our sovereignty, so that we can connect with our power, so that we can rise from the ashes again like this phoenix. And that's why it's so important not to take everything too serious like that. It's not about getting caught up in conspiracy theories and thinking that there is a dystopian future, or like even not thinking too much about what has been going on in the ancient past, like not fearing old cycles repeating again, or not fearing pain repeating again, or darkness repeating again. Like we have gone through that. And this can also apply to a very personal situation you might be going through, even if it's not related to you as a creator being in this realm, but maybe some of you are worrying that old cycles will repeat themselves again, that you will experience karmic connections again, or that you will experience that pain again, or that freedom is going to be taken away from you again. No, this has only been here so that you could connect to your sovereignty. But again, as soon as the sovereignty is here, as soon as you realize that you are the whole tree of life, the whole cosmos, there is no going back. There is no everything we see, we cannot unsee what we have seen. We cannot close our consciousness after it has opened up. And that's why as soon as we step into that divine sovereignty, as soon as we claim our birthright of being a creator being in this realm, there is no going back. And now we have learned the lessons, and now we are moving into unity consciousness again, where it's also, again, bringing back Lemuria. Because with this synchronicity, I'm being told that we are very much entering a phase on Earth where the veils are going to be opened again. With the last cloak, the veil is getting thinner, and we will have access to the other parts of the cosmic tree again. We will have access to the higher dimensions. We can communicate with our star ancestors that lie on the branches of the tree, but we can also connect with the elemental beings of the first and the second dimension of the elemental realms and the fairies. And the first step of it obviously is tuning into their energy, connecting with their frequency, channeling information. But the more we progress along this awakening of consciousness, the thinner the wheel is going to become. There is going to be a time where we will be face to face with our star ancestors, and face to face with fairies, face to face with all these mythical creatures. Because what we are doing is we are bringing Lemuria back. We are bringing back this frequency, but again, this time while having integrated all of these lessons in duality and in darkness. And that's why I know I have been repeating it quite some time, also in the first pile. This is very much, now is the time of the actual intention. Like now, the intention of the Earth experiment, now is the time for that to actually unfold. Because this is very much what this whole, everything has been leading up to this moment. Everything that went on before. And that's why right now there is so much help with this healing process. But again, it's not about healing. Yeah, it's about having the experience. It's about experiencing this abundance. And with the inner child attunement, it is the Lemurians coming through to remind us that it's okay to play again. It's okay to let go. It's okay to let our guard down, let the defenses down. Like these old cycles won't be repeating themselves again, because at this point there would be no reason for them to repeat themselves again, because the whole purpose of this darkness and this separation was for us to experience that unique perspective, so that we could be true sovereigns. Because in order to be true sovereigns, we need to have both perspectives. We need to have the dark and the light. We need to have the cosmic heavenly perspective, but also the earthly perspective. And this is very much what dragons also represents. Divine sovereignty is the awakened Kundalini, the awakened dragon, but it has to be both perspectives. And now that we have gained these insights, now that we have reconnected with our power, we can go on about in life just as in Lemurian times, where all we have been doing was being in community, chanting, celebrating, talking to the fairies and the nature spirits and the dwarfs, and celebrating, and again like dancing and dancing around the fire, like chanting in adoration to all the spirits of nature. Like this, we're allowed to have fun. We're allowed to like who is here to tell you that you cannot sing? Who is here to tell you that you cannot celebrate or that you cannot enjoy your life? No, this is what it is about. It's about enjoying ourselves. It's about, yes, healing, but healing through joy, healing through community, healing through awakening our consciousness, helping each other to awaken our consciousness. And again, bringing back Lemuria, bringing back this pristine frequency, this pristine, yes, Ace of Cups energy, this pristine energy of filling our cup with source light, with love, and on a collective level, because this is very much what's happening right now on a collective level. We are collectively learning again to step into this Ace of Cups energy, which is not only about self-love, but it's about being nurtured also by the Divine Mother, being nurtured by the energies from the branches, being nurtured by our spirit guides, our star ancestors, by the spirits of nature, but also being nurtured by the earth. And it's an opening, like a huge opening that is happening on a collective level. Literally the last cloak, like we're opening the veils again, because it has been in Lemurian times, but this time around it's very different, because again, we have integrated the lessons in duality. And I feel I'm repeating myself, so that's the message for this reading. Thank you so much for tuning into this message. I really hope you resonated. And again, if you feel you want to learn more about Lemuria, you can also continue watching the third pile or watch any other pile. And if you feel this was your message for today, thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm also offering personal readings, so if you would like to have a personal reading, you can reach out to me. You will find the information in the description box below. And if you like this video, you can comment, like, subscribe, share if you want to. And I hope to see you in the next reading. Thank you so much for watching. Hello, beautiful souls. So this is your reading if you have chosen pile number 3 with the cosmic circles. And I have noticed that pile number 1 and 2, they were more so focusing on the Earth experiment and helping us understand how the Earth came into being, and also Lemuria, how it all unfolded. And in this pile specifically, I feel called to share about what I remember from my lifetimes in Lemuria. And straight away, as I look at this card, I'm strongly being taken to the energy of Stonehenge, but also the energy of like the telluric forces, sacred geometry, because it says create sacred space. So in Lemurian times, the beings, they have been working with spirit beings, they have been working with these elemental beings, with the telluric forces, to build temples that almost act like an antenna to channel higher dimensional energies into the earth. So if you come from pile number 2, I have been talking about in Lemurian times, these beings were able, the Lemurians were able to communicate with fairies and dwarves and nature spirits, but also with our star ancestors. And that's why they received the wisdom, the guidance on where to build certain temples or where to build certain structures. Like, not only did they receive the information or the technology or how to build certain things, but also where to build it, because there is something very significant about the placements of certain structures. And this really takes us to the energies of the pyramids, where many of the pyramids that are present right now on Earth, they actually come from Atlantean times, but there are also pyramids in Lemurian times. And these were more crystal pyramids. Most of them, like, I believe, as far as I know, they don't exist anymore, but maybe some do. Maybe some crystal pyramids still are here today, but they were of such high vibration that I feel it would not even be possible for this high of a vibration to exist here. So either they, I don't know, wormholed them into another dimension, or they exist in a parallel Earth which is in a higher dimension, or they just, there's definitely something about like this very ancient high vibrational Lemurian technology, which is obviously not here anymore, but it used to be here on Earth in these ancient times. And it was physical. It's not that this is only spiritual, like we're not talking about super high dimensions, like this is the time where Earth has been in 5D and it was physical. But the 5D aspect of it is that the veil was thinner. So that's why, yes, Earth was physical as such, but it was, yeah, people had the ability to tune into the other realms simultaneously. And these structures, they were actually here to do just that. So, because we as human beings, we are bridges between the realms. And we are still able to tune into the other realms right now. It's not that we don't have this ability anymore. But in ancient times, in Lemurian times, it was easier to access. Like, there was a clear communication. We still can have that communication right now, but it's different because the vibration of the earth itself is changed, is very different. So these structures, they have been helping the earth to maintain this high vibration. They have almost been making sure that earth stays in, let's say, 5D without deteriorating, because all these pyramids and all this Stonehenge and all these stone structures, and they were attuned to the telluric forces of the underworld, and the telluric forces of the earth, and the also cosmic energies. Like, they were aligned to the stars, and many pyramids, there are actually star maps. They are mirroring the stars in the cosmos, but by mirroring the heavens on earth, this is what creates the bridge between the two. So only by creating a structure, doesn't matter what material it is made of, only by doing that, it is already creating the portal. So it's not so much about the material, about the technology, about the yes, of course the alignment is very important, but just the thing in itself is already creating that bridge, because it's the heavens mirrored on the earth. It's the cosmic energies then having a connection to what is on earth, and that bridge allows this higher dimensional energy to be mirrored here on earth, and this allows the earth to have this higher dimensional energy. So yes, the Lemurians are coming through to almost remind us why pyramids have been built in the first place. It was a grid work of energy, like it was a grid, a net of energies that allowed Earth to maintain a high vibration, but at the same time also create this bridge between the realms. Like, it also helped people connect to the underworld, like to the other side of the veil, or also it was also a soul technology, like after people transitioned, like reconnecting back to the energies of the stars we came from, or like it's super intricate spiritual soul technology. And I'm being made to feel that it's time to revive this wisdom. It's time to remember that. And our ancestors, they actually have been giving us the clues to be able to do that, because all the pyramids that are still standing to this day, again, most of these pyramids, they have been built in Atlantean times. Some of them are around 40,000 years ago, but there are some structures that are even older. I'm being taken to the Yonaguni monument, which is actually off of the coast of Japan, underwater. So there are many structures that are underwater, many pyramids, also pyramids which are under vegetation. Like, we might think it's a mountain, but actually there is a pyramid underneath, and these are the older pyramids, the Lemurian pyramids. But yeah, what I wanted to say with this is, these beings who have been building the pyramids, they have left a code for us that helps us reconnect with the stars, that helps us remember this soul technology, like this spiritual technology, this star technology. And they knew exactly that these structures would survive the cycles of time, because most of them still stand today. The Great Pyramid, for example, the pyramids of Teotihuacan, and many others, also pyramids in China. There are pyramids all around the world. They knew that they would withstand the cycles of time. So that's why one of the intention was also to build these structures, because the beings in Lemuria knew that the earth was going to go through a cycle of darkness. They knew, because they were so tapped into its spirit, they knew that one day Lemuria is going to be destroyed. They knew that one day Atlantis is going to have a downfall. And they were almost preparing humanity by building these pyramids, this network of pyramids that helps us tap into this cosmic wisdom again. Because simply by observing the Great Pyramid, it's not just about the alignment with the stars, it's not just about the geographical location, but it's also about the geometry of the pyramid itself, like all the numbers that come out by analyzing the geometry and the structure. Like, there is so much cosmic wisdom encoded only in the Great Pyramid. And if we look at this holistically, like the whole pyramid grid, like it literally helps us reconnect back to our truth and remember our truth. And it's not by chance that right now we talk so much about ancient cultures, we talk so much about Atlantis and Lemuria, because now is the time to bring this wisdom back, to remember again. because at the time it was there, the pyramids have been built. Then we went through the darkness, and now we are remembering the ancient times by observing the remnants of these times, but at the same time we are bringing this energy back by remembering that we have already been there. Like it's again, it's about creating a bridge again. There is very much something about bridging the past with the present, bridging the higher realms with this realm. And this is also the energy of cosmic circles, where everything comes full circle and everything is woven together. There is something about connecting the dots, and if we connect the dots of the pyramids, then it's also helping us connect the dots of who we are and the history of Earth. So there is very much something about creating this full circle moment by analyzing what has been going on before us, and this helps us understand who we are and where we are going. And this is why it's so important to look at our ancient past, because before we don't know where we are coming from, we don't really know where we are going, because we want to base our actions on truth, to base our actions that we are coming from a super advanced love-based civilization, and we are here to bring this energy back, instead of thinking that we come from primitive stone people or like primitive, I don't know. No, the story as we have learned it is not accurate, because there have been much more advanced civilizations before us. And that's why our ancestors have been leaving these clues, because they knew that there is going to be a dark period coming in, where there is going to be a lot of distortion, where there are going to be forces trying to distort our truth, trying to keep the truth back, hold the truth back from being told. And this is the reason why they have been coming up with this magnificent plan of not only setting up the pyramids, but also with placing star seeds in specific geographical locations, because star seeds also act as bridges between the realms. So it's the star seeds observing the pyramids and then coming up with the wisdom that they need to share in order to activate the remembrances of the ancient times. Like, it's a super intricate plan, and it's so like, wow. Whoever came up with this obviously comes from source, but we have to clap, because it's so genius. Like, just the way, like, how magical it is. Like, imagine, this is so magical. Like, understanding how everything is interwoven, not just all the not just planet Earth with all the stars, and the past with the present and the future and all the realms. Like, it's literally, I cannot say it enough, this full circle moment where everything comes back together and everything we remember. Basically, it's about remembering. And again, we remember by connecting the dots. Remember actually means reconnecting. Like, a member is a part of something, and by remembering we gather all the fragments together into one. And that's why there is something about connecting the dots. Like, the information is there, the pyramids are there, and it's all laid out basically, but it's our job to connect the dots. It's our job to create this full picture, and we do this by sharing our insights. And that's why I'm doing these readings, because that's my unique perspective, and maybe the way you understand it is adding another thing to complete the whole picture. Like, I can only share what I know. I can only share what I have experienced throughout my soul's journey. And the seeds that I am planting are also helping to complete this entire picture. Like, that's why I'm also being taken to this energy of star seeds that are being placed very strategically around the planet. Like, everywhere where there is a person with an open heart, that is a bridge between the realms, that is allowing these higher dimensional codes and information to flow into the earth, and this in itself is allowing the vibration to rise again. So it's not only pyramids, but it's awakened beings. Pyramids and awakened beings are like these beacons of light that allow earth to rise in frequency and allow humanity to ascend and awaken all together as one. So everyone has a very unique contribution in making this happen. Every structure, every person, every truth that is being spoken is adding up to this whole picture. And everyone's truth is valid, everyone's contribution needs to be there in order to complete the whole picture. And that's why it's so important, once not to compare ourselves between each other, because what is needed is our uniqueness. We don't want to try to act like someone or thinking, why is someone like this and I'm not like that? It's not about that, because we're here to seed our very unique code. And yeah, everyone's contribution is needed. So when we all try to act like someone who we are not, then we're not here to birth our unique golden egg. And that's why the most important thing for us is to be authentically ourselves, authentically express our truth, and sharing our own insights, sharing how we perceive this whole story. Because my perspective can be super unique, and no one else can have this unique perspective like I can. But that's exactly the reason why I have it. That's exactly the reason why I have to share it. Because maybe that's the missing piece that is allowing the whole picture to be completed. And that's why it's so important for us also with the turquoise coming through, throat chakra energy, like to speak our truth, no matter what. No matter if people think you're crazy, no matter if so many people disagree with you. It's about sharing our unique truth and our unique perspective, because all of it contributes into having this ultimate awakening of consciousness for all of humanity. Wow, I absolutely love this energy. So we're going to be moving into the cards. Otherwise I continue to talk for hours and hours. We have the Way of Pearls. It's very much, but yeah, I'll lay the cards first. Forgiveness, blessings beyond the soul path, beautiful, love this energy. Crown, right to know, go beyond attachment, divine alignment, yeah. Divine cosmic mother womb, and earth angel, beautiful. All right. So for some reason I'm being told to start with the Earth Angel. Some of you might be asking something about our soul's history, because I feel there is a question about star seeds, and yeah, I'm gonna share it. I don't know why it's coming through, but I feel called to share it. So there are souls who have had their first physical incarnation on Earth, and these are like Earth seeds, or like these are beings who have had their first incarnated experience on Earth. But this does not mean that they have not been in another realm before that, because it's not possible to come directly from Source Creator, to come directly from beyond the 15th, and like it's beyond the great void, beyond the light line, beyond the string of pearls, beyond Source, like this highest of the highest of the highest, like ultimate love, ultimate non-duality, ultimate Source. It's not possible to come from there to the Earth directly, as this would be like the most traumatic thing I would like imagine. Like I don't know if there could be anything more painful than doing that, like going directly from this high of a vibration into the Earth. Like we would die in an instant, like because the pain would not be possible for us to bear. Like it's not possible. So in order for souls to have their first incarnated experience, they need to first go through other realms. Like there is then a higher dimension, and then a lower dimension, and an even lower dimension. So that's why I personally believe that every single person is a starseed, which does, however, not mean that every single person has had lifetimes on other planets. Like it could be that this planet is your first incarnated experience, but it does not mean that you don't come from the higher realms. Or it's about knowing that what a starseed is. There is a lot of confusion about what a starseed is. Like every single human being comes from the higher realms. But again, not everyone has had a lifetime on Sirius or Arcturus or Andromeda. And this is very much where this uniqueness comes in. So let's say if there are star seeds who have had lifetimes on Andromeda and Sirius and Arcturus, they come then here on Earth to seed that specific information, to seed that specific seed or that specific code. But it is because that code is needed in that moment. And maybe there is someone who has had their first incarnation on Earth, and their work and they identify as an guardian of Mother Gaia, as an Earth angel, more connected with the Earth, more connected with looking at the environment, or more connected with maybe activism, or it's like there are different roles. Like star seeds, they have different, there are different roles that we need to fulfill, but again, every unique contribution adds up to the whole picture. And that's why it's so important not to compare ourselves like, I'm this starseed, I'm that starseed, or I'm this kind of light worker, or that kind of light worker. Like, yes, obviously there are differences because we are meant to be different, we are meant to be unique, but it's about knowing that it all flows into the same thing. Like, it's all, every unique part is necessary, and there is no one higher or lower. So even if some of you who might identify as an old soul, who might have had like millions of incarnations in all kinds of different star systems, or if there is a soul who has had the very first incarnation here on Earth, like, we all come from Source anyway, and Source is a space where there is no time and space. Like, it's ultimate oneness. It's even beyond oneness. It's even beyond, there are no words to describe what Source actually is. This is where we come from. So doesn't matter how many lifetimes we have had, like, we still come from that oneness, and there is no one is better or worse than anyone, no one is more worth than anyone else, no one is higher or lower. No matter how awakened or how conscious or how woke we might think we are not better than anyone who is just starting their spiritual journey. And that's why it's so important to always have compassion and to embrace our uniqueness, but at the same time, again, this divine paradox. With the way of pearls, I'm being taken to the divine paradox. So we can be unique, but that doesn't mean that we are better than anyone else. Like, we want to cherish our uniqueness, we want to shine our light, because we are actually deserving of that. Like, we can shine our light, we can be confident. If you are tapped in with spirit, and if you are conscious, and if you love connecting with spirit, like, you are allowed to be proud of that. You're allowed to shine that light. You're allowed to, to honor that. But that doesn't mean that you are any better than someone who is working in a restaurant, or someone who is working as a farmer, because the essence is the same for everyone. So yes, we can shine our light, but we don't want to put anyone beyond, above or below us. For some reason, that's very important. It's not related to Lemuria, but I feel, also there is a lot of confusion about old souls. Like, yes, there are old souls which have had this many lifetimes on other planets, but all souls have been created in the same moment. Like, and that moment is timelessness. So it's, and the different experiences or the different things, like, let's say, for example, someone who is a farmer can also be a starseed, because we need high vibrational food in this realm in order to be able to do our spiritual work. So only if someone is a farmer doesn't mean that this farmer is not still contributing to this whole bigger picture. And it doesn't mean that every light worker needs to be super tapped in with spirit, or needs to be super a master channeler or a master magician, or like, you can be a farmer and still follow your starseed mission, or you can be a hairdresser and still contribute to this whole bigger picture. Like, there is a lot of confusion of, we don't have to be the same, we don't have to act like everyone else, like, we don't have to have the same gifts as someone else. Or maybe some of you might be asking, like, why am I not be able to channel like this, or why am I not be able to heal like this, or why am I not be able to do that? You're not meant to do that. You're meant to do what makes you happy. You're meant to do what makes you unique. And with forgiveness coming through, it's actually about allowing ourselves to be that. Because it's almost this energy of, we have been conditioned to think we need to be someone that we are not, or we need to act like someone who we are not, we need to be someone who we are not, or it's about forgiving ourselves to feed into these patterns, because most of the patterns are part of our genetic healing and they have not much to do with ourselves. So this forgiveness has to do with shedding all the layers so that we can shine our unique and authentic light, and being very grounded with that. And this is actually a mastery, because when we master forgiveness, when we are able to really forgive and to really integrate all of our shadows, then and only then are we able to shine this light authentically, but in a way where the ego does not come in. Because if we have not yet worked on forgiving ourselves, then we might shine this light while being kind of like egoistic, or like putting other people down, or thinking we're better than someone else. But when we have really worked on forgiving everything, forgiving all the aspects of who we are, then we can shine this light while being humble and while understanding that it is all source. And I'm allowed to shine my light, I'm allowed to be bright, but only because I'm shining doesn't mean that anyone else cannot shine. Or only because I'm shining doesn't mean that anyone else is less worth than me. It's very much about, yes, knowing the importance of forgiveness, because that is directly connected to how we follow our soul's mission, how we show up in this world. And yes, very much about embracing our differences. Beautiful energy, like it's a very different message than I expected. So the Lemurians had something to say about this. But again, I keep on being told we are allowed to shine, we are allowed to be confident, we are allowed to express our magical being, to express our connection with source, to embody our vibration, to open our crown, to allow this love to flow through. And that's why I'm being made to feel the intention, I had a different intention in mind, but maybe it's still somehow connected, but I feel the intention of spirit of wanting me to do this reading is actually knowing that now is the time to bring Lemuria back. And now is the time to, and if I say Lemuria, it's not just, it's one part of it is remembering our origins, remembering the history of Earth, but the actual part of it, what it means is that we are reconnecting with our purity, reconnecting with our light. And it has always been there, but now we can unfold, now we can express these magical abilities, but in a way that is not destructive, or in a way where it is honoring all life, where with the blessings beyond the soul path, it says, oh my goodness, I didn't even read it, but now that I look at it, honor all life, honoring all life, and joy without karma or sacrifice. I love the synchronicity. So we are allowed to be that light, we're allowed to be happy without feeling guilty for it, or without feeling that, there is sometimes even guilt programming, like when we are happy, for example, there is this guilt programming, or like, oh wow, now I'm happy and I'm almost waiting for the next opportunity to take this happiness away, or like I'm almost looking for the next danger, or like, okay, now I'm happy, but how long is that gonna last? And it's almost like this energy of never really allowing ourselves to be happy, or never really allowing ourselves to shine our light. And this is what is changing, because the next cycle is, again, blessings beyond the soul path. Blessings beyond the soul path is, for me, it's talking about when we have fully healed, when we have fully let go and forgiven, then it is done. Then we are blessed, because it is. Our purity and our light already is. Our openness to source already is, we already are source. And that's why forgiveness is actually about letting go of these distortions, letting go of everything which tries to separate things. And that's why as soon as, if we have not yet worked on forgiving ourselves, there will always be a separation between us and someone else. If we yeah, if we don't work on forgiveness, there is always going to be like this, one is above, one is below. And that's why in order to really truly bring all these blessings in, we have to work on forgiveness. And we forgive by understanding that it has never been about us. It has never been that we have done anything wrong, but it has actually been about integrating the physicality, or about integrating this earth perspective, so that we can have these divine blessings while being on earth. And that's why we also had to go through this period. Like, that's why Atlantis and the fall had to happen, because if Lemuria would always continue in this super pristine and beautiful high vibrational energy, then maybe with the passing of cycles, maybe the beings would not honor all life, or they would say, oh, it's just the same thing over again, divine bliss, it's like, of course, beautiful. Not saying that it's not beautiful, but maybe after all the time we would not be able to honor it as much as we would do after experiencing so much darkness. So that's why right now is showtime, because right now we have experienced all this pain, experienced all this darkness and separation, and now we are bringing back this Lemurian energy, and now we can actually cherish it and actually be happy for it and actually honor it for what it is. Because if we have never experienced pain and darkness, we cannot really know what it really means to be happy. And there is again this duality coming through, like the deeper pain we feel, the deeper we have the ability to experience joy. Otherwise, it's just a numbness in the center, where it's not really happy and not really sad. And that's why we also want to allow ourselves to feel the negative emotions, to feel all the sadness. And this is where forgiveness comes in. Of course, it's painful. Of course, nobody likes to feel these uncomfortable energies. But they're only here so that we can experience this bliss and these blessings and this happiness. So that's why it's so important to allow ourselves to feel all the feelings, to feel all the darkness, feel all the pain, forgive ourselves, and then we can open ourselves up for these blessings, and then we can truly cherish them, truly honor them. And it's such a beautiful energy. And yeah, this is it's a bit different from what I expected, but that's the message for you today. Very beautiful. It is still related to Lemuria. But yeah, please let me know how you like the messages, if you resonated with them, and also please let me know in the comments if you did. And if you would like to book a personal reading, you can always reach out to me. You will find all the information in the description box below. And I'm wishing you a very beautiful day whenever you're tuning in, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Thanks so much for watching.